to you, Mr. Ball, and specifically this question, and it goes to both, is about effectiveness. Now, critics, including the man to your right, have labeled you as a candidate with a lot of ambition, running for a lot of offices, but when actually elected is ineffective. He points out repeatedly that as an assemblyman, you introduced 132 bills and didn't get a single one passed. Often, you couldn't even get a Republican to co-sponsor them. To that point, why should anyone in the audience believe that if you actually got to the state Senate, you could do a better job?
Well, I think that that's a very good question, and if passing tax increases and voting for big government expenditures is an indicator of success, this is the most successful man in Westchester County, and he should have your vote. I have introduced more than 100 pieces of legislation, it's probably closer to 300 pieces of legislation, and the reality is that I served where he was the Sheldon Silver of White Plains in Westchester County, where he had the ability to actually cut taxes but didn't, where he had the ability to cut spending but didn't. I am one member out of 150 under the iron-fisted rule of an 800-pound gorilla named Sheldon Silver, and I made that man's life a living hell in that chamber every single day. I took on the dysfunction. My own party has spent nearly $2 million against me. $2 million against me. That's an awful lot of money to spend against somebody who's ineffective. I have, Pat, and if you actually look at the numbers...
I've asked at the beginning for everybody to be as respectful as possible to candidates.
I'm actually going to give one of these to Tax Hike Mike tonight that he can put up on his wall. I didn't pick these up at Kmart, and I didn't pick them up at the local Target. This is a bill signed by the governor, Eliot Spitzer, the guy that endorsed you 4 years ago. This is a bill signed by Governor Spitzer with my name on it that I passed in bipartisanship. The reality is that as a member in the super minority of the New York State Assembly, Tax Hike Mike, you can keep that one. In the super minority of the New York State Assembly, Sheldon Silver allows Republicans to pass two types of bills. He either allows you to pass a tax increase, or he allows you to pass a local bill. When my state senator or my county executive asked me to pass a tax increase, I said, hell no, I fought against it. So I could have introduced those tax increases. My opponent has done. I don't measure that as a measure of success. But as far as reaching across the aisle, I have dozens of pieces of legislation, combat veterans tuition reimbursement program that I passed, statewide autism insurance bill. I work with Amy Paulin, a Westchester County legislator, to close the loophole, and the human trafficking law, and a host of other initiatives that have been made law.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Now, Mr. Kaplowitz, my question, which I'm sure you're going to get into the answer, not the effectiveness or not of your opponent here tonight, but also there was a poll that was commissioned by Iona College, not just what constituents in this district, who they like and don't like, but also as a whole, Albany. And more than 50% said they'd like to see every incumbent thrown out of Albany of both parties. I think I'm on safe ground to say that the Westchester County Legislature is not beloved either at this moment, especially given the tax issue. To the same question as to why you deserve a promotion when so many people are so frustrated with every level of government, including the body that you serve, make the compelling argument why your time in Westchester warrants you going up to Albany.
Thank you. 2 minutes. First minute, I'm Assemblyman Ball, because he is the state assemblyman. He is the incumbent. I have here the 132 bills that he is the prime sponsor of. In the midst of financial crisis, these are the bills of which none passed. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. We have Assemblyman Bill 7560, prohibits the sale of foreign dog hair or hide, including but not limited to raccoon dog. That's one of the 132 bills that Assemblyman Ball wasted our time on. Assemblyman Bill 4461, an act to amend the environmental conservation law in relation to prohibiting the possession, transportation, and sale of bush meat. This gentleman has voted for the largest tax increase in the history of New York State. These bills alone cost us $824 per bill, 132, do the math. He wasted $108,886.80. Second part of your question, I saved 2% per year on taxes. I cut $120 million. You could say, Mike, why wasn't it 140? Why was it only 120? Fair, we can go through it. But I went through every single line, and I impacted change. I cut the helicopter out that saved 3.1, and when they brought it back, it saved us that money. We closed the women's jail that saved us $4 million. We cut overtime. We cut personnel. We cut by 10% our administrative costs over the last 2 years. We saved the Westchester Medical Center, an institution that people's lives are at stake, and we did it by turning a $35 million annual subsidy to zero. I'm proud of my record. I stand by my record, and I want to take that knowledge and that experience to Albany because that's the place that needs to be cleaned out. That's the root of all our problems.